Have you ever found yourself struggling with anxiety, comparison, fear, doubt? I'm not a betting woman because I really hate to lose money. Just for kicks though, I'm willing to bet that if you are experiencing any of these feelings at any point in time, your eyes are not fixed on Jesus. I see you turning your head to the side, thinking of a possible rebuttal because I don't really know your specific story. But this cannot be up for debate, okay? Where negative emotions reside, God wants you to sit in that space and He wants you to allow Him to fill you with His true intent for your life, okay? If we're honest, some days looking in the mirror before making a filtered post on social media, it can be daunting. There are so many expectations. Have you ever used the body editing app on your pictures with the hopes, presenting the most flawless version of yourself? If so, you're not alone. So many people do it. In a world where plastic surgery has become as common as going to the dentist for a routine teeth cleaning, how do we look at ourselves without wanting to see something better on a quicker time frame? So let's just tuck that and put it there. I'm more acceptable now, right? Maybe not. And hey, nothing is actually wrong with some enhancements, okay? I'm actually all for it. But as I have considered my own physical displacements and the negative attention that I have given them, I was actually drop kicked with the truth that my eyes have been very fixated on what society considers beautiful rather than the truth that everything God created, including me, is good. As I began to fix my eyes on Jesus, I started to learn that His creation deserved to be loved as is, no chaser. That truth does not forsake the need for keeping things right and tight, all right? You're not gonna say I said that. But it does mean that when our eyes are fixed on Jesus, we can see ourselves as He sees us, and that's beautiful. When our eyes are fixed on Jesus, we can't stay angry or bitter for too long. We begin to recognize that not everyone has the capacity to love us well. With our eyes fixed on Jesus and not on our ego, we gain empathy for those who have offended us. We choose a life of forgiveness and compassion. One thing in the world that can steer our eyes from our own pain is to see the lesson that God has intended for our lives. Some things in our lives have truly hurt. Trust me, the goal is not to minimize our experiences, but once we fix our eyes on Jesus, it actually maximizes His intention for all that we have endured. And no matter what we have faced or will face, we can be sure that it's all working together for our good. But, I dare not write this book with the assumption that you know what it even looks like to fix your eyes on Jesus. I would even have to admit that it looks differently for everyone based on the particular season that you found yourself in. All right, check it out. 2012, it's a year that I reference often. While it was the year that I lost my innocence and learned the truth of heartbreak, betrayal, and ultimately God telling me no to something I really wanted, I also have to credit this year with being the time that truly jump-started my personal adult walk with God. It was during this year that I believed love was all mine. I had done everything correctly by the book. There was no reason I shouldn't have bagged this man, okay? We talked every day. We hung out multiple times a week. I knew his children. I had a relationship with their mother. All the things, okay? I had found the perfect blend of lover and friend. I mean, it was such the perfect blend that Usher, John, and Luda had to do it again. Get it? All right, never mind. But turns out what I thought wasn't really what I thought. Turns out the guy really saw me as a homegirl while I was somewhere planning this elaborate imaginary wedding in my head. I mean, we may or may not had toyed around with the idea in real life, but the story sounds better and it saves everyone the trouble if I just plead temporary insanity. All I know is that after news of his engagement hit the town, I was the biggest level of embarrassed that there could be. I had not hidden the fact that I was all about him. People knew this. And let's just say that a private loss is one thing, but when that L happens publicly, that's a whole nother problem, all right? Needless to say, I spiraled. I wanted to die. All I could think about was dying. It was the best thought of my day, to die. And then God snatched me up and placed my focus on him. And for this season of my life, fixing my eyes on Jesus meant listening to the assignments that he was giving me and obeying those. Fixing my eyes on Jesus meant less time from social media so that I could block out the noise, because there was plenty of noise coming. Fixing my eyes on Jesus meant calling AT&T and changing my number. And this time would actually lead to me writing and publishing my first novel. It was the first time I experienced a beautiful ashes kind of moment with God. I hated the ashes, but I must admit that as I sit here still writing a decade later, I'm glad that God showed me the benefit of fixing my eyes on him. With each new season of my life, I have been faced with the choice to fix my eyes on Jesus or to fix my eyes on the problem. Each time, the decision to fix my eyes on Jesus has looked differently than the time before. Setting your gaze on God will be paramount in your race to the joy. It may look like no longer watching a certain television show. It could look like waking up at 3 a.m. to pray. It may look like relocating to a place where you have no family and you know nothing about the land you're about to occupy, you know. Fixing your eyes on Jesus could be leaving that church you grew up in, or it could mean staying there. It could mean starting your business, or it could mean climbing up the ladder at your 9 to 5. There is no perfect recipe for how to fix your eyes on Jesus, but I can tell you that it requires you to quiet yourself long enough so that you can actually hear God, believe what he has said, and then lock in. That was a woman, okay? A woman in the Bible. She had an issue of blood, and many of us, we've heard of her, but she bled for 12 years, y'all, 12. And I can't even handle three days. Like, I can't handle the first cramp, if we're honest. This lady, however, had dealt with something of which no one else could be a help. It was because of this very ailment that she decided to fix her eyes on Jesus. As he was passing through, she made the decision like, yo, if I could just touch a small piece of his clothes, I'm gonna be okay. Do you understand the level of focus she must have committed to actually touching Jesus? I imagine that the crowd was large and unbearable, because when Jesus asked who touched him, the disciples thought he was crazy for thinking anybody would be able to tell. But fixing her eyes on Jesus and touching his garment, that got this lady the healing that she needed. And not only did she receive healing, but she also received wholeness. For this nameless lady in the Bible, fixing her eyes on Jesus meant pressing through a crowd. For Daniel, another person in the Bible, fixing his eyes on Jesus meant praying 3 times a day and not hiding from people who were trying to set him up and have him killed. We never really know what fixing our eyes on Jesus really looks like, but once we know what that looks like, we should do it. It only makes things better.